Hi, this is Sticky Hamster, and someone requested that I post a video on how to get started in Alpha 11.3. I didn't get that video made, but now we have Alpha 11.4, so I'll do that video now. This is just going to be my third YouTube video, so I'm going to be doing a lot of variety. If you have any suggestions for me on videos, really would appreciate that you contact me through Twitch, Twitter, or Steam. I'm Sticky Hamster on all three of those, and then if you need to find me on YouTube again, just make sure that you type in the word iAmStickyhamster into the search box, and you'll be able to find me there. Okay, now first of all, there is no right way or wrong way to play 7 Days to Die, but I'm just going to show you one of my preferred ways to play that's more fun. First of all, on your options, video settings, you're going to want to put that at whatever looks the best to you, whatever your rig can handle. Audio, it's important to have either really good headphones or really good surround sound, and you want to have the volume up high, because the audio is very important, because that is going to give you a big hint towards where the zombies are coming from. Otherwise you're going to be spinning around a lot more. And by the way, even when you play with the audio turned up, you will be doing a lot of turning around, looking over your shoulder, making sure a zombie isn't coming. Okay, now we're going to go over here. We're going to create a new game. You can play on different maps. There's something here called Creative. I never play Creative because for me it's personally boring. I like to be concerned with sometimes getting killed. If there's no challenge for me, you know, Creative is okay. If you want to play Creative, fine, but this video is not about Creative mode. We're going to do a single player, and there's two types of maps. One is called Navsgain. The map is the same all the time. Yet again, I rarely play that. We're going to play Random Gen. It's going to procedurally generate the whole world as you travel along. There's going to be different biomes. Some biomes will be easier to survive in than others. And let's just go ahead and name our game. I'm going to call it Alpha 11.4 Tutorial. This might wind up eventually turning into a Let's Play, but for right now this is just going to be a YouTube video. And by the way, I do play 7 Days to Die a lot on my Twitch stream. That's, once again, Sticky Hamster, STICKYHAMSTER, and I've now streamed for about a month. I do want to eventually become a Twitch partner, so I deeply appreciate any type of support that you want to give. You know, come on into the channel, watch my stream, have a good time, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Twitch. So we're going to name our save game Alpha 11.4 Tutorial. You can call it anything you want. I usually like to throw in the version number when I make a new save game. One reason why is this game is in alpha, and lots of times when they come out with a new version, unfortunately, it will render your save game inoperable. That's something you have to accept with this game, but it's still a great game. I just checked Steam before I started making this video, and according to Steam, I've played 498 hours of this game. It is a great game. I highly recommend that you purchase this game if you don't already have it. It is one of my favorite games in my library, and I own over 600 games on Steam alone. Okay, we're going to click the start button here. Now, let me make something super clear to you. When you first start out, you are going to be very weak. So I recommend that you do not bother with trying to melee the zombies. We're going to be looking for some valuable things. As we walk along, we're going to look for birds' nests. Those are going to give us eggs, and they're going to give us... Oh, you know what? I just remember something. I need to show you another thing that's very important, the game settings. Sorry guys, I'm new at this. We're going to go into options. Once again, You know what? This is one of the important. This is also one of the important things too. I skipped that. We don't need to change our game name there, but this was one thing that we do need to talk about before we get started. Sorry about this, guys. Now, difficulty settings. I usually leave these on Nomad. Nomad is kind of in the middle. It says that Nomad is designed for experienced FPS players. Percentage of night, I just leave it there, 35%. Zombies run. Some people like to play zombies run all the time. For me, that's not as fun. I kind of like George Romero style zombies most of the time, nice and slow. Now at night, you are going to want to be in a nice safe place because the zombies will run a lot at night. Enemy aggression. I usually leave that on normal, okay? If you put that on feral, they're going to be able to find you a lot easier. Persistent profiles, leave that on. "24-hour cycle, leave that at 40 minutes. Block durability, I leave that at 100%. Loot abundance. This is something that I like to crank up to make the game a little bit easier. 200%. Loot respawn time. This also makes the game a little bit easier. I put it on 3 days. So if you are away from a container that you've already emptied out, that you've already searched through, in 3 days you'll get more stuff in it. Or you may get more stuff in it. Sometimes it'll still be empty. Drop on death. This is a big thing. This is something that a lot of people debate on. You know, what makes the game easy, what makes the game hard. I personally like to have a little bit of a sting from death, but not so much that it's devastating. So I usually change it to either drop on death, tool belt only, or backpack only. I rarely play on everything, and I never play on delete all. Delete all, for me, is way too frustrating. So I recommend that you pick tool belt only or backpack only. For this playthrough, I'm going to choose backpack only. Enemy memory, I just leave that there at the default 60 seconds. Enemy spawning, I like a lot of zombies, so I put it on very high. That's going to be 150% extra zombies. The craft timer, fast, that just means you make stuff quicker. The loot timer is also fast, that means that you loot corpses and you open boxes quicker. Airdrops, that means every day a plane will fly overhead and drop a supply crate. Currently in the build, a lot of people are having trouble seeing the airplane, so don't make a big deal about it. But as you play, just naturally every once in a while you will get lucky and you will find a supply crate. And I have cheat mode turned off. Okay, let's continue. Okay, looks like it started us out in a desert biome. You also start with a very limited amount of supplies. They give you 1 torch. That's actually quite valuable. They give you 1 bandage, 1 can of food, 1 bottle of water. That smoke off in that direction is probably going to be a much more difficult area. And so we are going to actually head away from that. And we're going to try to avoid zombies. Do not try to melee them. And the most important things that you can find, once again, search every nest, get the feathers, get the eggs. You're going to hold on to those eggs for later when you are able to kill pigs and cook them. Also, in the beginning of the game, there are 2 books that you need to find as soon as you can. So you are eventually going to be trying to get the Forge Ahead book that lets you make a forge, of course, so you can go ahead and smelt iron. That is very important early on in game to try to get, because you are then going to put that 1 iron ingot that you make into a crafting grid to make a little iron plank, because that's one of the components that you need to make a crossbow. And the crossbow is one of the best weapons in game, and it's usually going to be your go-to game until you get very good at firearms, which won't happen for a while. Another book that you're going to need to get, we'll be moving here in just a second, but another book that you're going to need to get is the leather tanning book. That will let you convert leather into leather strips, because that is another component you need for making the crossbow. Until then, you're going to have to rely on the regular bow and arrow. Okay? Now, to make the regular bow and arrow, you're going to need a bunch of sticks, and you're going to need a bunch of, well, I'll show you a bunch of these little pieces of weeds here. And the way that we'll get them in the beginning is just punch them. I personally like all of the default keys the way that they're set up, so I haven't changed them, but I have changed one key. When you go into your options menu, you're going to notice that there is a key for drop items, and that is default to Q key. I recommend that you move that far away from where you're going to normally press. You're rarely going to want to drop items that way, so I would recommend that you just unmap that. The other thing is, too, you're going to want to search everything. Like right here, here's a cooler. That gives us 4 bottles. That may actually go ahead and be the difference between life and death if we can go ahead and find some water. We're going to go ahead and search this corpse and this sedan here. Batteries are good because you can go ahead and dismantle those into lead. It's going to be a while before you have guns, but it can't hurt to find things. Okay. We're going to gather up some more weeds. You're going to be punching a lot of weeds early on. Okay, we have 4 of them. And you're also going to want to gather sticks. And we're also going to want to gather small stones. Small stones you're going to use to make a stone axe, and also in this game you can make a stone shovel, and I'll show you how to do those. Okay, here's a stone. Okay, to make things, you go up here, you press your I for your inventory, you click crafting, and you type in what you want to make. The first time that you make something, when you click the recipe, you're going to have to manually drag the items into the crafting grid. After that, you can just click the recipe one time, and if you have the ingredients, they'll pop into the crafting grid. Or you can shift-click it, and it will make a maximum number. So we're going to make 1 stone axe. And we're going to put that down here in our inventory. Now, remember, we're playing right now on if we die, we drop everything in our backpack. So what we're going to do is we're going to put what we consider at the time our most valuable items into your toolbar. When you die, you're going to need to go back to where you died and retrieve everything. The way that you'll be able to find that stuff is that you'll actually see a little backpack here on your compass, and that will help you find it. If you're concerned with dying more than once, you do get the ability to right-click the mini-map one time and put a single waypoint, but that's all you get. I do recommend that you have a pen and paper with you handy. That way, if you need to write down any extra waypoints, you can always write down the coordinates. The stone axe will wear out quickly, and you can repair it with additional stones. By the way, when you first start out, you are in kind of a safe zone. So for at least a few hours, you have a little bit of a pass. Now we're going to get a few more stones, and then we'll be able to build the bow. I mean sticks, sorry. Okay, so the wooden bow is 3 weeds and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sticks. So I need 1 more stick. See how inefficient the axe is? Chopping even that little piece of aged wood, the axe is about ready to break on us already. But I want to show you something real quick. If you get the aged wood, you put that in the crafting grid, it'll make you 8 planks. Each plank will make 4 sticks. So now we're going to make our bow. Just takes a few seconds. Okay, now we're just going to walk around. By the way, the game is in alpha, so sometimes you're going to try to swing at things like little bushes and stuff like this, and you won't hit anything. So if that happens, just move the mouse around a little bit, and you'll usually be able to hit it, or you have to walk a couple steps. Okay, now my axe broke. That's not a problem, because all you have to do is find another stone and more sticks, which you have some on you already. Here's another stone already. Now we've already made the axe before, so we can just type stone axe like that. Now, you can go for a bunch more stone by hitting one of these, but watch, we might wear out the axe before we break this stone. Remember, you start out really, really weak. There we go, that's not too bad. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep hitting this until the axe is almost broken, but we're not going to let the axe completely break. So watch the durability on your axe here. When it gets to the point where it's almost broken, take your stone axe, you put it in the center of the crafting grid, and you put one stone there, you click craft, your stone axe is back to full. As you're doing stuff like digging or chopping on things, you're going to notice the blue bar is going to deplete. That's your stamina. That will come back with time. And as you play the game, your stamina will eventually be higher and higher. And the game does get much easier as you get your stamina higher, so that's one of the reasons to not die. Fairly simple. Now we've got 10 stones and 13 sticks. That is going to be plenty of materials once we find some feathers, because to make 5 arrows you need 1 small stone, 1 stick, and 1 feather. So now we're going to go looking for our first bird's nest. Depending on the biome that you're in, bird's nests can be real hard to find or even sometimes quite easy to find. I tell people, make a beeline out of the area that you're in and try to find a nice forested area, because for me, forested areas, they just seem to be a little bit easier to play in. But I'm going to show you one of the advantages of the desert. And by the way, when you do your playthrough, it's going to be fairly rare for you to wind up in the desert to start with. It's one of the rare biomes to get into. The advantage, though, once you find the desert gives you sand, so you can use sand to make glass. And the other advantage of the desert, that doesn't look like food, does it? That is an easily acquired food right there. You just keep chopping it and I'll show you. Yucca fruit. It doesn't give you much food, but it'll keep you alive. And it's easy to get. And then the other thing that we have here in the desert, yucca plants and aloe vera plants. If you get 4 yucca plants in 1 bottle, well, glass jar, you can make yucca juice. And aloe vera plants, 4 aloe vera plants, and 1 glass jar makes aloe vera cream. And aloe vera cream is a component for healing. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our mini-map and see what direction we want to go in. And you can probably hear on the audio that that's one of the planes going overhead. You may see it flicker in the graphics as it flies overhead, but normally when the game isn't bugged for that effect, you will be able to see the plane fly through. Another thing that can be a really beneficial thing for you early on is if you happen to find a cabin. Sometimes a cabin will have a pre-built forge in it. If it has a pre-built forge in it, that's going to be a wonderful thing for you, especially if you haven't read the Forge Ahead book, because you're going to be able to get scrap iron fairly easily. You don't have to follow the roads if you don't want to, but I kind of like to, because lots of times there are things to loot. And there's a zombie up ahead. So in the beginning you want to try to avoid zombies. Actually, I see 2 zombies up ahead. But at the same time I see something square in the distance, and that could be a building to search. And yes, you will have to deal with the zombies. And by the way, you're going to want to deal with the zombies. There is a reason to fight the zombies. The zombies, you'll kill them, they'll help you level up. There's one on the left. You want to just stay moving. They're slow during the day. If you have to run, you hold your shift button. But generally during the day, you're going to be a lot faster even when you walk than a zombie. Just keep your eyes looking at the ground as you walk. You're looking for nests. You may not be able to find many in the desert. They used to spawn sometimes in the desert, but there's a possibility that they took them out. That might be a wasteland up ahead. If that's a wasteland up ahead, we're going to want to avoid that as well. And by the way, while you're walking, it doesn't hurt to pick up every single aloe plant and yucca plant. There's a zombie over here somewhere to the left. There it is. Always use listening to your headphones or your surround sound audio. Pick the stones up as you go. Do not try to melee the zombies with your axe. In fact, I'll show you why. It's going to take a lot of hits. And here's another thing too. When you're close to the zombies, they got a real good chance of hitting you. Okay, that was 3 hits when I hit him just in the head. The good thing is I leveled up from that. Bad thing, it's risky. Those are zombie Dobermen off in the distance, and they were running towards me, so... running in the opposite direction. Eventually the zombie Doberman will turn around if you run from them. I probably shouldn't have turned around at that point. Just going to keep running. My stamina is low. Hopefully this... Probably going to die now. Also, now I get to demonstrate the backpack. That was another good reason for... Here's another good reason for not going towards the wasteland. The zombie Doberman don't spawn everywhere, but where they do, they're quite nasty. And by the way, when you die, you lose a little bit of your wellness, which is bad, because now, as you can see, my maximum hit points and my maximum stamina are slightly lower. The good news is, they respawned us in a forest biome. Now, we didn't have that much stuff in our backpack that was valuable, so at this point you can choose whether or not you want to go back there and fetch it or just continue to play from here. I'm personally going to continue to play from here. What you can do if you're desperate about getting your backpack back is you rotate until you see where it's at. So it looks like our backpack is somewhere to the south. Zoom out your map, and you move your map into where you see you can find your backpack. You see, it's quite a ways that way. If you really have to, you could go ahead and right-click it, set a waypoint, or you can mouse over the place where your backpack is, and see how it says 771 South, 14 West. Write that down on your little piece of paper, and you can come back to it. Now that we're in the forest, we should fairly easily find a nest. Nests are always on the ground. They will oftentimes have feathers and eggs in them. Sometimes they'll be empty. By the way, these sham sandwiches, you can eat them, but they will give you food poisoning, 50-50 chance. But if it's the difference between dying and staying alive, you might want to risk scarfing it. Okay, I think we have a nest over here. Okay, here's our first nest. Unfortunately, it's empty. The other thing that we need to bear in mind is that we are now starting to get closer to nighttime. And so we have to figure out a way to stay safe during the night. So one of the things that we're going to do is gather some more stones. And I recommend on your first night, you don't try to do anything fancy. Literally, you're going to want to hide. Off in the distance you can see a deer in the center there. You're going to be killing a lot of deer, a lot of pigs, and a lot of rabbits for food. But it's going to be impossible until you get your bow and arrow. What I'm going to do is, hopefully I'm going to be able to, on this video, find us some more feathers and show you how to hide at night. And we might be on the edge of the desert biome here. So, it's a pretty distinct change, as you see. Big difference between the two biomes. There is one thing that's interesting about edges of biomes. There's a chance of cave spawning, and caves are going to be what helps you find different kinds of ore, but that's beyond the scope of this video. I may make more tutorial videos, But the main thing I want to do is I want to get you through your first night. Now we can make arrows. Just type the word arrow into your crafting grid and it'll show you how. And as you play the game, you're going to discover all kinds of skill books on different weapons and things you can make. The developers of this game, the Fun Pimps, they're even going to be including a mini bike, a craftable mini bike in the future. And they keep adding new cool features, and it's a great game. Seriously, like I said earlier, just buy it. You're going to love it. Feathers are a precious commodity in this game. So if you happen to have your gameplay set on drop what's in your backpack, I would go ahead and make those one of your priorities. The other thing you're going to want to make your priority is holding on to this one torch as long as you can until you can make more. Be surprised how long it's going to take you before you can make more torches. To make torches, you're going to have to gather up tallow and cook it, or get coal, and it may be a while before you can get either of those. So now that we have a bow and arrow, if we can find a critter to kill, in fact, you know what? There's some zombies over there. We'll go kill a zombie. Now, when you first use the bow and arrow, the first key you have to press is the R. That's going to cock one arrow into your bow. The right mouse button will zoom in to help you aim. And the left mouse button will help you draw the arrow. When you want to fire, you just let go. If you want to cancel your fire, you press R. Without letting go of the mouse button, of course. Now, the arrows are going to drop a great distance. So, you're going to want to almost use this like a melee weapon when you start out. And keep an eye out on how many arrows you've got left, because you're going to go through them quickly. Try to go for headshots. It's a little bit harder to aim when they're moving around like that, of course. I want to kill one like this, and then I'm going to show you another way that you can aim. Okay. Here comes another one. By the way, these ones that as they walk, they bob their head, they're a lot harder to kill, so they're a bit of a hassle. Press and hold C to crouch. I made a mistake there by letting it too close. He almost hit me. You'll sometimes get that sneak damage bonus, but that whole point of me crouching while I'm firing the arrow is you can have the center of the eyeball give you like a little bit of an aiming indicator, but you are going to want to take into consideration, if you have any distance, the arrow drop. More worthless Sam sandwiches. Pretty much everything you can pick up in the game does have a use. Bones you can make into a shiv for a melee weapon, but a fairly useless melee weapon. And you can also use them in place of sticks for making arrows and bolts. Another bird nest. Oh, 26 feathers, that's a lot. So as we get more stones, we're going to have plenty of arrows. as you see, I'm making arrows out of the bone instead of the stick. Okay, now, nighttime's coming. It's coming quite soon. Crouch while you walk around and get enough stones to make yourself a stone shovel. You need 3 small stones and 3 sticks. You're going to want to dig pretty much straight down. By the way, this stone shovel will run out so fast that you're probably going to want to have some more stones to repair it with. You're also going to get real tired real fast too, which is a bit of a bummer in the beginning because you have so little stamina. Now, I want to show you that you cannot patch that hole with your normal dirt. It's just going to collapse on you. So now you're going to want to dig a little bit in a specific direction. So I'm just going to pick north. Okay, the sun is slowly setting. And we're going to block ourselves in. Now, a zombie might fall into that hole, and if it does, he'll probably detect you. What you do at this point is up to you. If you had some extra wood on you, you can make a wood frame and block the hole. Or you can just continue to dig, and basically you want to stay crouched, and you hide for the rest of your first night. Once it gets to be about 6:45 in the morning, burrow up and continue your adventures. I do stream this game frequently. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions on how to play. There is a great deal more to this game, but these little tips should help you get through your first day. The game is wonderful. You gotta buy it if you don't own it already. And I hope that this has been useful to you. This is easily findable information on many other YouTube videos and wikis and stuff, but I thought it would be interesting to make this, especially since someone asked me to make it. So, hopefully you guys had some interesting times watching this. I know it's a little bit slow-paced, and hopefully I'll get better at making YouTube videos as time goes along. This is only my 3rd video. Alright then. 7 Days to Die. Buy this game. No, they're not paying me anything to tell you to buy this game. It's that good. Sticky Hamster, signing off.